mind introducing yourself?
My honor. Yeah, it's my honor to be here. I appreciate the invite, Cole. My intention is to add as much value as I can in the short amount of time I got to talk with y'all. As many speakers that I've sat down and listened to, one habit that I broke was having this mindset like, oh, I already know this stuff, or I know mostly about this stuff, but I'm going to sit down and listen anyway and kind of not pay attention. So I'm going to ask y'all to do away with that mindset. If you do a lot of private money stuff, you're still something you might learn here. And, you know, if you know me long enough, you know that I love to talk about mindset. And you'll hear me say a lot of times that you can be taught all the things that are needed to be known about investing in real estate, but you really won't be able to do anything with it unless you have control of the real estate between your left and your right ear. And that's your mind, right? So again, I really appreciate y'all taking the time out to come listen to me. I know everybody has very busy lives, and I applaud you for taking the time out to invest in yourself. What we're going to talk about today is how to raise private money without asking for it. If I can get this thing to switch. Let's see. There we go. Who in here wants to learn how to raise private money so that you can make a lot more money? That's right, that's right. Well, and it still won't work. All right, I'm going to have to do this. Private money is one of the fastest ways to make a whole lot of money, all right? And I'm going to do my best to help you learn how to raise money tonight. But first, I want to tell you a little bit about myself, if that's okay. This is me and my family, my wife Erica, and my 4 children. My name is Eric, and a lot of you know me as Banjo. And as somebody already asked me in the audience today, how do you get the name Banjo? Well, my papa Carol, also known as CJ because he hated the name Carol, had a nickname Banjo. So people called him CJ or Banjo. It's kind of a handed down nickname. Before he passed away, I asked him, how'd you get the name Banjo? And he told me that he loved playing baseball in high school. He was really good at stealing home plate. And every time he stole home plate, the kids in the dugout said that he sounded like a banjo when he laughed, and it stuck. After he died, I asked my mama if that was true because I really started just thinking about it. She was like, honey, I never heard that story before. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. So I really don't know how he got the name Banjo, but I got it from a handed down nickname. So my dad inherited that nickname, and as a young boy, you know, my papa's got it, my dad's got it. Obviously, I have to be Banjo as well. So I started writing Banjo the Third on everything. It never stuck until I got employed with the railroad. Everybody on the railroad has nicknames, and when they were telling me that they needed to come up with a nickname for me, I told them I already got one, and it's Banjo. My story that I'm about to tell, it's one of struggles, resilience, and transformation. I'm an advocate for those who feel alone, for those who don't have many people cheering for them. That gets me right here. So a little bit about me. I was born in 81. When my parents got married, they got married in Las Vegas. They eloped at 17. And quickly thereafter had me and my sister. And they were divorced before I can even remember them being together. I saw my dad every other weekend, as some of y'all know, if you're a product of divorced parents. It's tough. I didn't really know it at the time because you're a kid. You can just deal with whatever you want to deal with. You don't even know what you're dealing with. You just do it and go on with life. But I remember a time where my dad was dropping me off at my grandma's house, or it was my grandmother's house, to drop me off by my mom. Man, I didn't want to leave. And I was grabbing on a chain link fence, and I was she had to rip me off of it, I remember. So that kind of stuff, it sticks with you. You know, I remember moving around a lot with my mom. She had an apartment at one time. I lived with her mom and her for a while. My great-grandmother watched me for a while. Needless to say, that's where my want of variety comes in. Like even today, I just need variety. Like the house that I'm living in right now, I can see myself moving. Whereas my wife, who grew up in the same household, she's like, what do you mean move? Like, this is where our kids are growing. This is where we got to stay now. So it's different. It changes you. It also left me, I guess, wanting to cope with everything without even knowing. You know, at the age of 10, I smoked my first cigarette at the age of 10. 13, I found alcohol. 14, marijuana. Shortly thereafter that, all the other drugs. Drugs and alcohol, I guess, at the time, was my way of coping. But I mean, at the time, it was also fun, and I was irresponsible. And it was consistent in high school. My high school career was full of nonsense, drugs and alcohol. And after I graduated, I was a stock boy. Any of y'all know the West Bank? You got Barataria Boulevard, you got Majuria Drugs. I was a stock boy at Majuria Drugs. That was my career after going to a private high school and basically had nowhere else to go. I'm like, what am I going to do with myself? So why not the military? And if I'm going to go in the military, why not pick the most elite fighting force on the face of the planet, the Marine Corps? So that's what I ended up doing. All jokes aside, I wanted a challenge, and I wanted to do something hard. It's kind of like, I don't know, I've always been like that for some reason. Thrived in boot camp, loved boot camp, natural born leader in the Marine Corps. You can always find me calling cadence. Even when we was in the school, at the MOS school in 29 Palms, you can see me calling cadence and just leading. But I made mistakes in the Marine Corps. I got caught drinking underage in school in 29 Palms, and I got busted down. For y'all who don't know what that means, it means they took my rank from me right before I was about to get promoted. And this is the very beginning of my career. So, and you're talking about somebody who's like above average on the scales of how they measure, like how I was a Marine, a good Marine. I was always above average. So somebody, you know, when I get caught drinking underage, I wasn't even fighting, wasn't driving, you know, it really messed with me. Vowed never to drink again until I was 21. It's the way it's got to be since I'm in the Marine Corps, right? Fast forward a little bit, I made it to the fleet. When the fleet's like, you know, you graduate school and you go do what you're going to do for your job for the rest of your career. The night I walk into my barracks room with all my gear, there's a sergeant in his dress blues drinking a Budweiser. What's up, Marine? You gonna come to Marine Corps ball tonight? I'm like, yeah, I will, yeah. But I just got here. Like, I still got all my stuff in my hands. He's like, man, bunk on that. Hurry up, get in there, change your stuff. Here, grab a beer, man. I said, nah, Sergeant, I don't drink. You don't what? I was like, I don't drink. Why not? Like what? I'm like, well, told him the story. He was like, dude, you're in the fleet now. That crap don't matter. Grab this beer, boy. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, that's over with. That's school stuff. You're in the fleet now. It doesn't matter if you're underage. Okay. So I was in the fleet now. Didn't have to worry about drinking, right? Fast forward a little bit. That was actually my wrong duty station. I actually was supposed to be on the MCAS, but they got my orders wrong. So I got to the MCAS, the Marine Corps Air Station in Camp Pendleton. Fast forward a couple of years, and we got attacked by terrorists. The Twin Towers hit. When the Twin Towers hit, I wanted to go, but they didn't want to let me go. I was a Lance Corporal at the time, expert pistol, 3rd Award expert rifle. I was, like I said, a real gung-ho guy. And I was a computer specialist. I was really in the wrong craft. But God knew what he was doing. But so I begged and begged and begged, and like a couple of weeks went by, and I got orders to go. So they transferred me to what's called the 11th MEU, it's a Marine Corps Expeditionary Unit, and I was set to go to Afghanistan in a few weeks. Then I made another mistake, apparently. Martin Luther King weekend, the 96 weekend we called it, and I was in my barracks room drinking a beer. Gunnery sergeant knocked on the door. He said, what are you doing, Marine? I said, I'm drinking a beer. He said, are you underage? I said, yes. I was like, yes. I'm in the fleet though, right? that's what I was thinking. He was like, oh, okay. Psh, started writing stuff. I'm like, what's going on, Gunny? He said, you're getting written up. Another second NJP, non-judicial punishment. You need 3 of them, and then you get discharged. So once you get an NJP, you get put on what's called restriction. And my 3rd NJP was a restriction check-in. I was late for a restriction check-in in the 11th MEU. I was brand new to this unit. I was actually going up for a meritorious promotion to corporal when I got when I got caught drinking underage. So I'm going through this process. By the way, qualifying on the rifle range and shot 6 points away from expert as I was getting discharged. I actually had a choice if I was going to get discharged or not. I remember sitting down with the guy who was helping me fill all of this information, and it got to the part where you could fight it in front of a naval board. Obviously, I was going to win because you're going to discharge me for drinking underage a couple times and being late on a restriction check-in. I knew a lot of Marines who were staying in for a lot worse than that. So I said, of course, I'm going to fight it. And I asked him, I said, now that I'm in the 11th MEU, I'm watching all these recon Marines down there, like practicing busting down doors. And I really wanted to be a sniper when I first wanted to join, but my mom talked me into the computer thing. I said, if I stay in, I'd be able to switch to infantry or something, right, and go do like something else infantry-wise. And he literally laughed at me. He was about 2 foot from me. He literally laughed in my face and said, no, you're going to be cutting grass for the rest of your time in if you stay in, dude. Like, you got to be joking, right? Like, no, you're going to be cutting grass. And so I scratched out the yes, and I let him discharge me. After that, man, I mean, I feel military personnel who go to civilian life the regular way. It was a little rough on me, You getting discharged the wrong way. There goes the alcohol. I was, already drinking a little, and so there goes the alcohol and the drugs again. Another downward spiral. Pretty bad downward spiral. At one point in my life, I think it was Courtney said that she's got a nice house with a shed you can turn into a rental. They had a slum landlord, in Algiers, Burmaster, I think. I can't remember the name, but it was one of those streets in the middle of Algiers, who turned a literal shed into a rental. That's where I was living at. A mattress on the ground, me and my buddy splitting the rent, living like we were homeless, really, like we were borrowing somebody's shed. I even got a DUI during that time. It was pretty much rock bottom for me, anyway. Everybody's got their own bottom, right? I remember I showed up to my grandparents' house, Banjo Senior, after a long night of drinking and drugs. And I was crying for help. Like, I wasn't asking for help, but as a father, like, I was crying for help. My dad was there, Uncle Wayne was there. They were getting ready for a fishing trip. I was out of my mind, but I needed, I don't know, just, like drowning. And my papa was like, well, he needs help. We're gonna take you in. Come on. So that's when I lived with my grandparents for a little while after that. They gave me a good foundation to start over. Man, when you go from my dad's generation to my grandparents' generation, it's like wipe down the shower when you get done. It was a big change. It was something that I needed. I was in the Marines, though. I was all right. And my papa, he was a Marine, too. So we clicked pretty good. But that was awesome for me. I'm glad they did that. Fast forward a little bit, I found work at the railroad. That's like my first real, everybody, I don't know if y'all know about the railroad, but it's like the job to get, right? It's like got all the benefits, it's got all the pay, all that stuff. So I found a good job at the railroad. Bought my first house in Algiers. I think it was 2006, right after Katrina, or maybe 7, somewhere up in there. All the ceilings were tore down. It was a pigsty. It was bad. And I was a bachelor pad. That's when me and Erica met. She was like, your house always smelled like beer and dogs. I don't know why I ever got with, I must be the most curious guy in the world because she stayed with me for whatever reason. We got serious and we got engaged and we moved to Raceland, Louisiana. We didn't take long to start trying to have a family. Our first pregnancy came real quick. Super excited about it. And then we learned a big lesson. It was a miscarriage. But as soon as the lines showed on the stick, it's like we told everybody. I mean, everybody. We were so excited. But then my wife had to explain to everybody like 3-4 months down the line, because we lived in Raceland now, away from family. Every time she ran into somebody, how's the baby? Rubbing her stomach, and she has to tell them, no, we had a miscarriage. So that was a hard lesson learned. Second pregnancy, I had my son Eric. He's 14 now. And we had 10 pregnancies total, and we have 4 kids. The other, what was it? I think 5 miscarriages came between Eric and my second oldest son, Edson. All of those were miscarriages, except the second to last miscarriage was actually a stillbirth. My son Ezekiel was born August 23rd, 2012. Needless to say, I was powerless. The last miscarriage happened, and then she got pregnant again. And as a man, we like to be in control. Like, we're the dad, we're the father, we're the husband. We got to protect, right? Well, I couldn't do anything about this. So the only thing I knew how to do was get on my knees and pray. Now, to give you a little background, I was raised Catholic, except we didn't go to church. We just did the things that you're supposed to do, like communion, catechism, confirmation, the things that you're just supposed to do. Now, my dad brought us to church and everything, but I never really understood it or learned anything from it. I even went to a Catholic school. But for the most part, my spiritual life was just things that you're just supposed to do. For instance, when me and Erica first moved to Raceland and we had Eric, well, now we got to go to church for the kids. Not because I have a relationship with God. It's just that's what you're supposed to do because that's what good people do. And we got to make our kids, we got to make sure they have good examples and stuff like that. But our neighbors in Raceland were the Baptist people. And back then I looked at the Baptist people like they're I don't know what they do, but they got some kind of cult stuff going on over there. And she would always come ask, anybody in Baptist? And I'm like, man, she's always asking my wife, hey, why don't you come to church with us? All we're going to do is sing and eat. We're going to eat and sing today. We're not doing anything except singing and eating. And they're awesome people, my neighbors. And Erica went, and then she went again. And then she was like, babe, you really got to come. It's really cool. Literally, she's not lying. They sing and eat. It's fun. You need to come. So I went, and that day, the preacher was preaching on the Our Father. And it's a prayer that we say every single time you go to Catholic church. But I don't know about y'all. I didn't know what hallowed be thy name meant. I just said it because that's what you're supposed to say. But this preacher was teaching me about why do you even say that prayer? Well, Jesus was trying to teach us how to pray when he said that prayer. Anyway, I learned a lot that day about Jesus and that prayer. And I'm like, man, I kind of like this. So I started going to a Protestant church, the Baptist church. And I kept hearing these people talk about this weird stuff, sacrifice myself for Jesus, die at the cross. And in the beginning, I ain't gonna lie, it was kind of man, what are these people talking about? But I still was very confused about it, even after I found out, I kind of thought I knew what they meant. I really didn't know what they meant. And that's what my prayer was that night. It was, Jesus, please help my wife to have a healthy pregnancy. That's all I'm asking. And I don't know what these people are talking about. Sacrifice myself at the cross and die to myself and become one in Christ and all this stuff. But I'm going to spend the rest of my life finding out what that means and seeking the truth out and seeking you out. Please. That's all I'm asking. Nobody even, this was between me and him. So nobody else knew about this, all right? My wife had 3 healthy pregnancies right after that. Now, I had a decision to make. Wow, what a coincidence. That was lucky. Or I can really, really strengthen my relationship with Jesus and really believe that he is alive and he's listening to us right now. So by God's grace, we had 3 healthy pregnancies. Eric, Edson, the one with the mullet and the earrings, my middle child, and Elle and Evelyn. Fast forward even more. Now we're, not really fast forward. It's a mix here. I met this guy named Jeff Gonzalez at the railroad, and he's the one that introduced me to real estate. I didn't have any interest in real estate at all until I found my house in Raceland. Dude said, hey, why don't you talk to Jeff Gonzalez? By the way, everybody on the railroad has nicknames. His nickname was Gonzo because his last name was Gonzalez. So I called Gonzo, and I'm like, dude, I need some help finding a house. He finds us a house in Raceland, and he starts asking me, what are you going to do with your house in Raceland? In Algiers. I said, sell it, right? He said, no, why don't you turn it into a rental? You can make passive income. 90-something% of millionaires invest in real estate. Started really just talking real estate up. And at the time, all I heard was wealthy, millionaires, real estate. All right, we got to go real estate. So I turned my first house into a rental, and from 2008 till about 2018, I had that one house as a rental and did it all wrong. I would be slapping myself on the hand if I knew myself back then. Did it all wrong. In 2018, Jeff invited me to partner with him and took me to some educational things, right? You start learning how to buy creatively and all this stuff. And me and him came out of that class, and we bought 5 houses in 5 months, creative financing, flipping them on lease purchases. Eventually, we shifted focus. I found a multiplex in Lumberton. He found a multiplex in Metairie. Kind of took our focus away from flipping at the time. And then we both decided to focus on our family businesses. I was struggling. I needed help. Erica decided she was going to get involved in the business. That's when things really started to take place. When you're talking to your wife and she's like, okay, so we owe about $25,000 in property taxes in 3 months. Where's that money coming from? And I'm like, I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? I mean, it's going to come. What do you mean? We got 3 months. It always comes. It'll be here. Like, that's how I said. We were just like, quick shooting back then. And she was like, well, if you want me involved, this is not how we're going to do things. We need to do things a little bit better. So our business really, really blossomed. 2020 is when we learned about private money. And that's when things really changed for us. We 5X'd our portfolio. We started flipping more because you could do a lot more with private money. We built our private money program and perfected it. By 2021, just 7 months after I learned how to raise private money, I was able to quit my full-time job at the railroad. And last year, I think we flipped about a house a month, and we have about 50 doors right now we're managing about. I want to let you know, though, that real estate isn't easy, all right? So don't get it twisted. My perseverance and resilience in my childhood, shaped me to deal with this type of turbulence because it's just not easy. That's the best I can tell you. So if you think you're gonna if you're new and you think you're gonna learn how to do this stuff and then get 50 doors and flip 12 houses in a year and have it on Easy Street, that is not the life you're signing up for. You have to have a why. And so I might have tricked y'all earlier when I was asking y'all who wants to raise private money to make more money. I mean, obviously money's great, but if that's your why, you're not gonna go far. You're gonna get burnt out and you're gonna be crispy fried. You have got to have a good why. My why is kind of simple, but impactful for me. My why is kind of I wanna be the person that I needed when I was young. I want to show my kids what resilience looks like be an example of perseverance, healthy resilience and perseverance. I want to be able to help families or men or women who are struggling. I want to be an inspiration to those who feel left out or feel like nobody's cheering for them. In other words, like the misfits. I don't know what it is. You ever heard that song by Johnny Cash, the Man in Black? I'm doing this for the beaten and the broken down. That's my theme song. So no matter where you start, you can always build something incredible. All right, you gotta have faith in yourself. You gotta realize also that real estate isn't just about properties; it's about possibilities. You gotta have something that's real estate is going to bring you to, so that you can do, not just have money. Your why's got to be stronger than the hard times, and mine is, and I believe yours can be too. So that's my what about me, all about me introduction there. Now we can really start getting down to some business. But first, this lovely picture right here. Man, this thing is giving me problems. This picture right here was taken for Christmas photos. The family got it. Some of our private lenders got it. But this was reality. This was what happened the 30 minutes to an hour before we finally got that good picture. This dude right here was the problem that morning. I even got some footage. I'm on the side of the road in Poplarville right now, trying to get this done. We've probably been here for about 45 minutes already. It's going to get good. She's about to snap. Here we go. Get your butt on here. Now, get on it. This one's laughing. This one's laughing. This one ain't. All right. This is the real picture, right where it freezes. Bam. We should have sent 2 pictures out to everybody. All right, so Erica and I, we own Salt and Light Property Solutions out of Poplarville, Mississippi, and we teach people how to make a lot of money using private lending. Most of the time, that's my little 10-second spiel to somebody that I'm getting introduced to or that I want to introduce to private money. Private lenders, it's a relationship game, all right? You got good relationships, you give a good product, and then you're going to raise a lot of private money. What I'm going to show you today is how to attract funds from 3 different sources and how I raised $3.8 million now in private money over the last 4 years. I also promised to teach you 3 things. I'm going to teach you how to buy properties using other people's money, not your own, how to get 3 big checks on every transaction, and how to get all your rehab money up front. First off, we need to talk about what is a private lender. I've been hearing in the industry, a lot of people think they have private lenders, but they're just hard money loan lenders or traditional lenders. So a private lender is an individual who loans their liquid capital or even a retirement account to a real estate investor. A private lender is a one-on-one transaction with no middle person, all right? What a private lender is not, it's not a JV partner, a hard money lender, a bank or other financial institution. Private lender is somebody who lends their money to a real estate investor so that the real estate investor can scale their business. Who does it work for? This system works for single family and commercial. I focus primarily on single family houses. However, I have used private money on commercial. I've used private money on land. But for this presentation, we're going to be focusing on single family homes. You got to be clear that this is not a fund. A lot of people out there who never heard of private lending, when you try to introduce it to them, they're thinking that it's a fund, and they're thinking that they're not going to be protected. The way I do private lending and the way you should do private lending is every deal stands on its own. By the way, please take a bunch of notes. Any questions or anything that you have at the end, we'll answer any questions you got. One property equals one lender or one note and mortgage. You can have multiple lenders on one deal. However, each lender has their own note and own mortgage, and they're protected individually. Each lender's loan is secured by an individual property. There's 3 markets for private money. You have your existing warm market, your new expanded warm market, and existing private lenders. So let's talk about warm market. Your warm market is your cell phone contact list, your Facebook contact list, the person who sold the car to you last, who does your dental work, who's your primary care physician. Keep on going down the list. Who's your chiropractor? Anybody and everybody you know. That's your warm market. You already have established relationships with them. Once you get through your warm market and you create a consistent way to reach out to these people and talk to them about private money and offer this opportunity to them, you're going to run out of people, and that's when you talk to your expanded warm market. That's when you start doing networking like this. You join networking groups. You might join a golf group. You might do jiu-jitsu or whatever. And you know, one of my private lenders I met at my jiu-jitsu gym. Just happened to see him, talk to him a little bit. Come to find out, he got taken by a REIT person and lost 20% of his principal, but he is very interested in what I was offering him because it was protected. He is now a private lender of mine. And then you have existing private lenders. Existing private lenders, obviously, people who are already lending. You won't be teaching them your private lending program. You'll be asking them, what does your private lending program look like? Why do I love private money so much? There's a ton of reasons why I love private money. No credit check, no income verification, no points, no origination fees, no appraisals. You can have multiple checks on every deal. You make the rules because it's your program. No limit to the number of private lenders I can have. And I can borrow across state lines, and I'm not limited to accredited investors. That's just a few. Now, let's talk about the red tape that it comes when you're doing business with a bank. I've been using private money so long that anybody ever had to fill out a personal finance statement? But it's not personal once you have a business. They want it all. They want you to list it all. It's a pain in the butt. The fees are usually outrageous. The credit check thing, although I have credit to get traditional lending, man, it takes 60 days. I don't know how long I've been trying to get this DSCR loan closed, probably 3-4 months now. Private lending, I bought that property with private lending, got it done in about a week. So that's why I love it. It's because of the red tape. It goes away. You get multiple checks on every deal, and it's your private lending program, all right? You have to, it's your responsibility to create a program that protects your private lenders and gives value to your private lenders, and also gives value to you. You can borrow internationally if you want to. You can have private lenders that's out of the country. There's no limit to the number of deals you can do or no limit to the number of private lenders that you have either. All right. You can close deals faster and negotiate more profitable deals. Because you can negotiate more profitable deals, you can give your private lenders high rates of interest, way higher than they would be able to get out of a CD or a savings account or any other thing like that. You could do an unlimited amount of deals together, whereas with a bank at some point they're going to cut you off. And no personal guarantees and no monthly payments, maybe, depending on what your private lender wants. You can, depending on if it's an IRA or something like that, you can use quarterly payments, semi-annual payments. And then there's no hurry to pay back private money. Well, what? There's no hurry to pay back private money? My private money loans are always a year. Well, that's because you're going by their rules, and you're probably not dealing with a private lender, you're dealing with a hard money lender. When you deal with a true private lender, somebody that you teach your program to, if your program says that you need to hurry up and give them their money back, well, then that's your fault because you created that program. My program is 2 to 5 years. We'll talk about that in a second. So I got 2 years on the flip. Do I ever keep the money for 2 years? Not really. It's usually, I'm usually recollateralizing the loan or giving them back their principal within 6 to 12 months. But I don't have my back up against the wall, and I'm dang sure not paying extending fees and all this stuff that I hear about. Like I don't even know about this stuff because I've never used a hard money lender before. So it's like I hear people talk about it and I look into it a second and it's just, I'm like, whoa, man. You open the door and you're like, whoa, never mind, I'm gonna stay over here type thing. So yeah. When do you want to use private money? You want to use it when all cash is required. When you're buying bank-owned properties, you can use it for short sales. You can even use it for auctions or for sale by owners that won't sell on terms, which, by the way, 87% of for sale by owners will not sell on terms. Ask me how I know. I used to call them jokers. That's how I cut my teeth on a creative finance thing, and I was FISBOs every night, calling about 100 people a night and get one person that said, I might be interested in that. Why would a lender be interested? A lot of people have this idea, especially if you have some limiting beliefs, like you might be believing, why would somebody ever lend money to me? Or you just can't get it, can't figure out why they would ever do this. It's because, number one reason that my private lenders love it is because it's safe and secure. It's secured by an actual piece of real estate, by a conservative loan to value. Also, they can earn up to 20 times more than traditional investment sources. Now, if they have their money in some type of high yield savings account or something, I remember one of my private lenders now bragging to me about how she had $300,000 in the bank and made $3,000 that year. I think whatever it came out to be, the math was like 1%, and I'm like, man, why don't we talk? Like, we can really help you out here. She was happy about that return too. So, like, make sure you understand, private lenders love us just as much as we love private lenders. Okay, interest-only payments helps them get more money. It's because their principal stays the same. If they have their money in the stock market and they have 100 grand and the stock market goes down 20%, they lose 20 grand. If it goes up 20%, they don't make 20 grand back. So it's not volatile. And they can get their principal back in the case of an emergency with my private lender program. I give them a 90-day callback in case of an emergency. They just call me or Erica and we get their money back to them. So which comes first, the deal or the money? Has there anybody ever heard that you just go get the deal and the money's going to come somehow, some way? I've heard that too. I don't go by that law. Where's it going to come from? But you got to get the money first. And then you have the argument, well, let's say I land a private lender for like 400 grand, and now what? I don't even have a deal lined up. Trust me. If you have a private lender that wants to lend you $400,000 so that they can make high rates of return, you have to be a good steward, obviously. But then you have this huge responsibility to make them people their money. Like I tell my private lenders, it's going to take me less than 30 days to get your money working for you. So that way, when somebody pledges money, it's like, hey, let's go get it going. You can much easier find a deal than you can find money. Get the money first. Where do you get it? You get it from your warm market. You get it from your cold market. Warm market is people that you already know. Your cold market is the existing private lenders. By the way, if you got public records, they record the mortgages. They record the deeds of trust. If it's not Fidelity Bank and it's John Smith, that guy's probably a private lender. let's talk about warm market. You got to identify your prospects. You got your opening conversation, stress-free investing audio or some type of tool that they can hold on to, and one-on-one appointments, and then you have the commitment. All right, so let's talk about identifying the prospects. Strong words of advice here. Do not pre-screen anyone. The people that you think in your market, or in your warm market, and your friends and family that you think have money, if you take my advice and you go home and you start taking action and you get these private lenders, the people that you know have money, they're going to be broke. And the people who you're like, wait, what? You got how much in your retirement account? Dang, man. They're going to have the money, right? So please, please, please don't pre-screen. You can have millions of dollars sitting in your contact list right now. That's how Erica and I started. We just started talking to people and calling people. Opening conversation. So there's a couple of different methods, direct method and indirect method. I chose to take the direct method, which is, hey, Brett, I don't know if you heard or not, but Erica and I have been doing real estate, and we are opening up our company to people that we know and trust. And you're going to love this, and you're going to want to hear more about this, but you're not going to really want to know unless you say yes to the following question. And that question is, do you have any liquid capital or a retirement account that is not making you high rates of return? If he says yes, then you better be ready to tell him about your private lender program. That's the direct method. I'm directly asking Brett, do you have liquid capital or a retirement account that's not making high rates of return? Don't do like I did and call a million people you know. And then when the first person that says yes, you're like, yes, you do have liquid capital and retirement accounts not making high rates of return? Yes. All right. Well, man, and I wasn't ready. I didn't get him as a private lender. I learned my lesson though. And then you got the indirect method. That's the Erica method. You know, those introverts who like, what? Talk to people? Uncomfortability? No, that's not me. I'm not doing that. The indirect method is, hey, same type of scenario. Like me and Eric's been doing real estate. I don't know if you know that or not, but we're looking, let me know if you know anybody who's not making high rates of return safely and securely, you know? And that way it's kind of like an easy way to like not say, do you want to be a private lender, right? That's not what we're doing. We're asking if they're not making high rates of return, then you need to talk to us. We're putting on our teacher hat. So the audio is just a tool. It's something that they can put their hands on. In the beginning, it was CDs, then it turned into like a flash drive with an MP3 on it, and it's just I had a 16-minute audio, a 9-minute audio. I'm working on a 3-minute and 1 minute, and it's just something that you can give to somebody that doesn't really go too deep into the private lender program. It just talks about what private lending is, the benefits of it, compared to the traditional ways of investing. And so somebody is like, man, it sounds kind of good, but I got to go. All right, cool, man. Listen to this when you have a chance. And sometimes I've heard stories of private lenders putting a CD back in the day on their desk for 3 months, and then one day they kind of have a slow day at work, and they pop it in and listen to it, and then bam, next thing you know, they're calling you up and they want to do some business. And then comes the one-on-one appointment. When they call you up and want to do some business, you line up a one-on-one appointment. You can create a PowerPoint presentation so that you have to know your program. If you don't know your program and you go to meet with somebody and you're fumbling around and you're, oh, wait, let me think about that part again, it's not looking good. So make yourself a PowerPoint so that way you can remember, like, what do you want, the points that you want to talk about. Host a one-on-one appointment with a group session. Or a group session, like a private lender luncheon or something like that. You can also film your group session, turn it into a webinar that you can use as a tool to send to people. A couple of different ways to talk about your actual program. So how are we getting the word out? One-on-one appointments can be virtual or in person. I like in person. You can use groups, private lender luncheons. We've done probably 12, 13. We got one coming up in April, I think, yeah, April. Where you invite people and you feed them lunch, and then you do a presentation to teach them about private lending. And then, of course, you got a webinar. You can always do a webinar. Those are evergreen webinars. If you catch yourself doing a webinar, don't say things like the date. Don't like identify the date or like anything like that. Just kind of keep it neutral so you can use it forever. As long as your program stays the same, you can keep using it. When you get a commitment, you're not signing any papers. It's a handshake, and you locate a deal. So when people ask me, well, how do I move forward? It's simple. You tell me how much money you want to pledge, and I'll go find us a deal. When I find it, I'll call you up. By the way, when you call them up, it's a good news phone call. You don't call them up and say, hey, I was wondering if you wanted to do this deal. Well, they already told you they wanted to do the deal when they said, yes, I want to do a deal with you. So call them up and you say, hey, I got good news, man. Got a deal coming up. This is how much it's going to take. And there you go. You're on your way. When you're talking about existing private lenders, you want to search for individual lenders, like I was saying. And if it's not an LLC, and it could be an LLC, but if it's not like an institutional bank, it might be worth a letter. Send them a letter. Ask for feedback. Again, you are inquiring about their private lending program, not teaching them yours because they're already lending. And then you set up a one-on-one appointment. You follow up with them and get the commitment. First things first. First things first reminds me of the 7 habits of highly effective people. The first habit is be proactive. The second habit is begin with the end in mind. And a third one is put first things first. Work first, play later type thing. And this is the biggest hang up I see when people are starting to raise private money. It's a mindset shift. We are indoctrinated, if you want to call it that. It's just normal for us that if when you need money or want money, like that word need, like it shouldn't even be in the vocabulary. But when you're talking about private lending, it's like we got to go to the bank, man. Sir, please, sir, give me some money. I have a house that's worth a lot. I got plenty of experience. Please, I just need a couple dollars, please. And then you get into private money and you kind of have a tendency to be like, can I please? And that's not what it is. So switch your mindset. You're not asking. You're not selling. You're not begging. You're not chasing. You're teaching. That's it. You are constructing a solid, bulletproof private lending system, and you're presenting it to people that you know and trust and that you're letting into your real estate business. There's a difference there. I highly recommend establishing a relationship with a self-directed IRA company and representative, and that's because you can teach your private lender to use their retirement account to make high rates of return safely and securely. I was just talking to somebody today. He has a retirement account, and he's losing money over the last 5 years. It's like 5 years, and if he's not, quote-unquote, losing money, he's just waiting for it to get back even again, right? There's so many people in that situation. Reach out to them, talk to them. It's important. If you have any questions whatsoever about how this works, let me know. But that's a really good benefit that you can give to your private lenders if their retirement account is not doing well. Now, your program. You have to know your program like the back of your hand. One thing you don't want to do is talk about your program and a deal in the same sentence or the same initial conversation. All right? When you approach a private lender or when I approach a private lender, I'm not pitching a deal because that's what it comes off of as. When you bring up your private lender program and then talk about a deal and talk about all the benefits of that situation, it's like you're pitching the deal and you're selling the thing, and that's not what we want to do. We want to just teach them our program, and when they're ready, they're going to come. They ask me this a lot. Well, I don't have any money. Where am I going to get the money to do business with you? There's lots of places private lenders can get money. I guarantee you they don't know that they can use their retirement account. I can almost promise you that anybody you talk to is going to be like, what? I can't touch my retirement account without penalties and fees. Well, that's not true. They can also use CDs, money market accounts, savings accounts, investment capital that they have laying around, or that might even be in the stock market, IRA retirement accounts, even home equity lines of credit. You can use this strategy called arbitrage. You pull down a line, your private lender pulls down a line of credit. If they're given a good enough interest rate on that line of credit, say 4%, and you've given them 8 to 10, they're making 4 to 6% on money that's not even theirs, and their rate of return is infinite because they're using money that's not even theirs. And then, of course, portfolio loans. If they have stocks and they love them, they can still do business with you by taking a portfolio loan out, again, usually at a low interest rate, and you turn around and teach them how to use arbitrage and leverage. I have a private lender doing that with me right now. And then whole life insurance policies even. Same thing. It's got very low interest rates when you borrow from a whole life insurance policy. and they can make the spread like the banks do. Like the banks have the big buildings because they're taking your money, giving you a very low interest rate, and they're loaning it out at an exorbitant interest rate. So your private lending program, you determine all the rules and terms for every single transaction that you do with private money. That's the beauty of it. It's up to you. Things like where you invest, the minimum amount you accept from a lender. I recommend, as far as LTV, sticking with a 75% loan to value. I would even go lower than that on lower priced properties, like a $100,000 property or something like that. I might even go 70 or 65 LTV. You get to talk about terms and interest. What do you want your private lending program to look like? Mine is 2 to 5 years typically. Typically 2 years investment for investment capital, like liquid capital, just in case something happens and they want to pull their stuff out. For retirement accounts, they typically can't touch that money anyway, so it doesn't matter to them how long the term is. So we'll put it for 5 years, and if we flip a deal fairly quickly, we'll just recollateralize the loan. We'll just modify the loan instead of making a whole brand new loan.
Are you keeping the same note? You're just recollateralizing the mortgage?
Modifying. Yep. Yeah, we're modifying the note.
Modifying the note?
Yes, I'm pretty sure. That's the lawyer stuff. Yeah, they're modifying the deed of trust, and they're definitely recollateralizing with a new deed of trust, and I'm pretty sure they're modifying the note. So usually 8% for the smaller amounts of money and 8% for the large amounts of money and 10% for the smaller amounts of money, because typically we're using the larger amounts to purchase the homes. Usually that's in first position, and then 10% for junior loans, usually a smaller amount of money. Our payments are interest only. This is a benefit for us, and it's a benefit for the private lender as well. Because if the private lender puts $100,000 in, he's going to get that 8 to 10% interest payment every single month on $100,000. It's not going down, and it's beneficial to me because it makes the note a little bit smaller. There's no volatility because the principal remains the same. The frequency of payments is up to the private lender and their goals and what are they looking to do. I've had biannual payments before. I've had quarterly payments, but honestly, when you have so many private lender loans and some of them are quarterly, some of them are semi-annual, and some of them are monthly, it's really bad on the books. It's hard to keep up with. So recently, me and Erica decided we're just going to pay everybody monthly. It's easier that way. But it's up to you and your private lender. Yep, just talked about all this. Self-directed loans, you can go semi-annual or annual, or if you plan on just doing one deal at a time, you can just say, look, man, I'll accrue your interest, and when the deal sells, I'll pay you all your interest, especially if it's a retirement account. There's no penalties if I pay my private lenders off early, unless it's paid off within 6 months. Basically, I promise my private lenders that I'm going to pay them at least 6 months of interest. Also, I got the option to recollateralize their loan if they want to. So it's kind of like, hey, do you want to keep your money working or not? If they want to keep their money working, I'm going to look for another deal. I'll look for another piece of qualified collateral to just roll their loan over to and continue paying them their interest payments. The call option, that's the 90-day call option. We know life happens, and we want to extend that observance to our private lenders. And if something happens and they need their capital back, just call me or Erica, and we give them their capital back. Typically, don't give a 90-day call to retirement accounts because they can't touch the money anyway. There's really no reason to have it in there. So the closing is going to happen with the real estate agent, and they're also going to prepare all the paperwork. We cover all the closing costs with our attorney. Our private lenders don't pay any closing costs, no fees, commissions, or anything like that. The most my private lender might have to pay is a wire fee. Or if they have their capital in a retirement account, obviously the retirement account is going to charge them fees just like any retirement account would. The lender wires the funds directly to the closing agent. Never accept a check. As far as I'm concerned, nobody's ever going to write me a check. They're always going to send a check to the closing attorney. The closing attorney puts it in their escrow account. Funds are not dispersed until the deed of trust and all that paperwork is done and checked and recorded, and then everybody's protected. They're also protected with an insurance policy and a title policy. In case the house burns down, they get paid first. We get paid what's left over. And they're also added as additional insured on a title policy as well. Another thing that they're interested in is range of investment. So we use large amounts of money usually for purchasing the properties, and they're typically in first lien position, and the smaller amounts are used for rehabbing, typically in a second lien position. Sometimes you'll have a private lender that has the funds to do the whole deal, and that's fine too. They'll just stay in first position. The documents that you're going to want to give to your private lenders to ensure that they're protected: you want to get an appraisal or a CMA, whichever your private lender program tells them that they're going to get. Typically, we do a CMA. This is to justify the after-repaired value of the property and the LTV. They're going to get a promissory note, which explains all of the terms of the loan, including who's the lender, who's the borrower, what are you getting paid, what interest rate, all that stuff. You got the deed of trust, or if you're in Louisiana, it's a mortgage that collateralizes or ties the note to the piece of real estate that says if we don't pay you, the house will. If I get abducted by aliens or something and my private lenders don't get paid, they're going to get more money from the house than they would have even gotten from their interest payments and principal anyway, because of our conservative LTV. And then, of course, they got the insurance policy they're protected with, and the title policy. So that's what I got on private lending. Hopefully, y'all have some questions and took some notes. This is my Facebook page, I think. If y'all want to show me some love and just like our Facebook page, follow us on Facebook, y'all can use this QR code. We're based out of Poplarville, Mississippi. I got you, Dan. Give me a second. And we're based out of Poplarville, Mississippi. We don't do a ton of wholesaling. I'm not scared to wholesale, though. So there's a possibility we might ramp that part of the business up. Always looking for a project, no matter what it is, especially if it's in PRC. We wrote a book about private lending. I'm going to ask you, don't go buy this book. This book is not written for you unless you want to privately lend to me. But then you got me right here, so why would you go buy the book and read it? Just talk to me. But this book was written as like an instruction booklet, not instruction. It's like a teaching manual that teaches people all about private lending, right? And so if I have somebody that's interested in private lending, I can say, hey man, check this book out. Let me know when you're done reading if you got any questions, type thing. All right. So that's just another tool to teach people about how private lending works. This QR code will take you to my website though, if you wanted to go there. And then the guy who taught me everything I know about private lending for the most part, his name's Jay Connor. He's out of North Carolina. In 2020, that's where me and Erica went. I told her I was taking a vacation to the beach and go learn about some real estate, but we're going to the beach, like it's going to be awesome. And that's why she came. And then she realized that we're sitting in a 3-day seminar. Like what's really going on here? But if you want, this book right here is the book you would want to get to learn how to raise private money. I called him up, told him I was giving a little presentation about it. He said, go ahead and give him a QR code and I'll give him a free book. I think it's like $6.50 for shipping. The book's free. If you need this QR code, any of this stuff, just get with me after if you missed it. But if you're really serious about it and you want to come to the event, I'll be there. It's going to be in June. And he also, this book you're going to discover all the things, right? How to raise $2 million in 90 days or less. He did that. How to find private lenders in your local area. And all the details on step to step how to attract private money. He goes in a lot more detail than we went in tonight in this book. And then this is the QR code to, I know it's like a $3,000 or something value. It's a super in-depth, super class. He really unveils his business. He's got a flipping business. That's what he does. And he's got his 4 pillars of real estate, which is finding the deals, funding the deals, putting your business on automatic, and selling the deals. But it's a lot of good information. I know people from this area who attended and they've raised private money as soon as they got home. So it's a really cool thing to go to. And it's a vacation on the beach. At least that's what you're going to tell your spouse, right? So that's it, man. That's what I got. Does anybody, Dan, you had a question, brother?
I was going to see if you can get the presentation email to us.
This presentation here?
Yes,
sure.
How hands-on are your lenders in the projects? Like, do you keep them updated? What does that look like?
Not hands-on at all. So, like I was saying before, our private lenders are not JV partners. If they were a JV partner, they're going to be involved. The beauty that my private lenders love about my private lender program is that they don't have to do anything. They put their money in there. I give them a summary, of where the property's located, kind of what it's a single-family home, what position they're going to be in, how much interest they're going to be getting, and all that stuff. But
Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't look at my watch one time.
No, you're good.
We ran late, man. Any other questions?
How do you decide how much money you're going to raise for each deal?
I don't raise money for each deal. We just raise money. So remember, I'm not going to find a deal and then trying to find the money. I just go find the money. I raise money, and man, when you have private lenders that are expecting you to let their money work for them, like, you're going to find these deals. And then sometimes you can park their money in a good deal. You'll park their money in a short-term rental or a long-term rental or a lease purchase or something like that. Mm-hmm. And if you got a lease purchase sitting there for 2 or 3 years, I've done the math. The fees and costs and everything that it takes to refinance your loan with a traditional bank, it's like, unless you do it more than 3 years, you're saving money just keeping your lender in there. So if you're going to dispose of a house with a private lender on it in 3 years or less, it doesn't make sense to refinance it unless you can make more money. Like, unless you got another deal and it does make sense to spend the extra money to roll that private money over to another deal. You can just keep it in there and keep it working.
Mm-hmm. What's like the normal avatar for a private money lender? Are they all over the place? Are they W-2 employees, retired? What does that normally look like? Yeah,
so that's going into the pre-screening thing. I'm sure you can come up with some demographics or an avatar for that, but I don't even go there. It doesn't make sense to. Mm-hmm. Think about it. You got a 22-year-old that just is in the middle of college. Is that somebody you would think that would have $500,000 sitting in an account ready to lend? A 22-year-old just got out of college? Parents really didn't come from nothing? I mean, probably not, right? But this 22-year-old had a $90 million uncle in California that just gave her $500,000 because it was like a $20 bill to him, and she needs to do something with that money. And she's about to either blow it or just put it in a CD or put it somewhere not making a lot of high rates of return. So it's our moral obligation to help these people find a good place for their money to grow for them. But I would not pre-screen at all.
We had Advance IRA do a presentation over the summer last year, and they have actually a private, well, it's actually publicly available to come into a webinar to meet people that have deals or want to lend money out of their IRAs.
That's another excellent way to find deals or find private lenders. Most of them, they have these get-togethers, and it's a bunch of people looking for people who need money and a bunch of people who are looking for money at these places. I've never been, but I've heard they're awesome. Everybody's on the same page. What's that?
I attend a number of them.
Yeah, good place to be?
There's a lot of different ones. There's ones I do on Zoom.
Yeah.
Weekly.
Yeah.
The Banjo one happens like every few weeks.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. You ever raise any private money from one?
Yes, but not showing up as a stranger. I also know that, people who were attending those were also attending conferences I would attend and things like that.
Gotcha.
So I knew them in other sources, so yes.
Again, it's a relationship business. I mean, this whole real estate business is a relationship business, but especially for private lenders. Oh, yeah. Good question to ask a seller when you're at a closing that you're buying their house all cash, free. Then there's a free and clear house. I do this all the time. Hey, what are you going to do with all this cash? What do you think they're going to say? If they're smart with their money, they're going to say, I'm going to invest it. Really? What? In what? CD? Oh, man. Let me tell you about this. Let me tell you about how I'm buying your house. Private lending. And there you go. That's a good little strategy to use.
Do you have any advice for like new investors looking to raise private money that don't have much of a track record?
My advice to somebody, so like the question is, why would somebody raise me money because I'm just starting new and I don't have a track record? You gotta build relationships with people who do have track records and have somebody help you. I mean, that's the easiest way to do it. Leverage other people's experience by building strong relationships. Me and Natalie know each other. If Natalie came to me, Natalie, like, if she goes home and takes action on this and calls me next week and says, hey, I have this dude, he's really interested in private lending to me, but I don't know what to tell him, I don't know what to do, can you come eat lunch with me? I'd be there. Easy. Yep. It's my partner, Natalie, which she is. I'll help her through the whole thing and make sure that her private lenders and her are both protected. So I'd leverage relationships with people. And I would say your mindset. You have to have a good mindset. There's something else that I wanted to say about new investors. Oh, consistency is key, like with a lot of things. But all these things that I talked about today is pretty much guaranteed to help you raise private money. But if you don't do anything, and if you don't take this and take it step by step and like really go home and, you know, who knows, buy Jay's book, show up to the event, just anything, some type of action to pursue it, then obviously it's not going to work. But you got to be consistent. Me and Erica are very consistent in when we make a plan. We both talk to at least 5 people a day. That was our personal goal. I would talk to 5 people a day. She would talk to 5 people. We had like 300 people that we knew. So, yeah, be consistent.
Any other questions, guys?
Yes, sir.
I have a private lender that I've been using for the past 5 years. I mean, we've done a dozen deals together. She's awesome. One of the things I love about working with her, she charges 12%, which I'm very comfortable doing. But I don't pay her anything until the property's flipped or property stabilized or refinanced. So she gives me a lot of flexibility in how that debt structure's set up.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find more people like that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, for sure. It's one of the beauties of it. You get to do, you make the rules and.
You're not stressing about making those payments every month.
Yeah, you got to stress about making payments.
More time to focus on the project.
Helps with cash flow and all that good stuff. Yeah.
Mhm. Especially as new investors, if you're just
100%.
starting it, you don't have that extra money in your pocket. It kind of gives you a little bit more flexibility.
Yeah. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
So are you holding a lot of these properties?
I wouldn't say a lot. I would say the majority of them we flip, but we do hold. Recently, holding properties to me has been a detriment to my business because my goal is saying one thing, but my business is doing another, right? So my goal is to net a certain amount of money in 1 year, but I really need to be flipping or wholesaling or my cash conversion cycle needs to be like way shorter. And when you're trying to buy, hold properties and do all that, it's taking up your time and your effort and your focus away from flipping properties. But we're managing about 50 doors right now, and I actually just gave up a real pretty good hold deal because it didn't meet my goals. And guess what? I'm happy about it. Like it was a phenomenal deal. Phenomenal for a hold property. It's like keep it forever type deal. But yeah, to answer your question, we're focused mainly on flipping right now. If we ran into some kind of big commercial deal or something like that $500,000 deal she's talking about on the Gulfport, if we can come to like something like that, I'd jump on something big like that. But as far as single family homes right now, unless it's just some kind of killer steal, I probably wouldn't keep it. I'd probably sell it to somebody in this room or somebody else that can keep it, yeah.
All right.
Where are you flipping?
Mostly South Mississippi, from Hattiesburg down to the coast in the St. Tammany Parish. Anywhere that's about an hour. It took me about an hour to get here. So anywhere about an hour away from my house is I'm comfortable with.
You're in Washington Parish?
Yeah, I go to Washington Parish depending on where it's at. Not Bogalusa. I heard you talking about Bogalusa earlier with somebody.
I heard there's a good deal in Pearl River available.
I heard that. Yeah. So Pearl River, I'm interested in it, but I'm not familiar with it, I almost bought a house in Pearl River. I almost bought a deal in Pearl River. But I just, if I can get familiarized with the area.
It's great. There's a lot of retirees there.
Yeah.
A lot of other stuff too.
Yeah. That's everywhere almost, Anybody else got anything?
All right.
Yes, ma'am.
We got one more? Yeah, you're good.
Are you using in-house contractors to flip, or how are you going about that whole flipping process?
I had my own crew for a while. I don't recommend that at all. It's kind of like, I made a decision, but I guess I just didn't heed my own advice, that you're either going to be an attorney or you're going to be a real estate investor. You're going to be a social media expert or you're going to be a real estate investor. Are you going to be a contractor, Dan, or are you going to be a real estate investor? Like, are you going to be a realtor? I used to be a realtor. I gave up my license. Everybody was like, what are you giving up your license for, man? It's like, what? I'm like, dude, it's distracting me, right? And so it was distracting to run my own crew, and plus I'm not a contractor, really. Like, I did it wasn't a good idea for me. If you grew up in the contracting world, why not, I guess? But I'm one of those guys that's like, you can make way more money on real estate if you focus on real estate and just pay a contractor to do their job. And so we got a couple of good contractors. I would say another thing is, one is the loneliest number in real estate. You should have a couple of attorneys, a couple of people in each area that you can lean on in case one's not available or something happens with one. So,
Well,
yes.
part two to that then is, are you looking for a contractor in this area? Because that's what we do.
Yeah, I'm always looking to build relationships and see how we can add value and vice versa. Yeah.
All right. Gonna give a round of applause. Thank you, Banjo, for coming out.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you, brother.
You got anything else, Al? You good?
No, good.